call them today not because you're afraid, but because you care. A phone call may take only a few minutes, but those few minutes can help maintain a connection that matters deeply to both people. Point 1. Think about one person who matters to you. Someone you haven't spoken to recently. If the relationship is healthy, maybe today is a good day to make that call. Point 2. What matters is not always the number of conversations, but the sincerity behind them. A genuine conversation can remind both people that the connection still exists. Point 3. As we get older, we often realize that relationships don't stay strong simply because they have existed for a long time. They need attention. Life can become busy. People move, families change, and routines become different. Without realizing it, months can pass between conversations. That's why staying connected requires some intention. You don't have to talk every day or spend hours on the phone. Sometimes a short conversation is enough to remind someone that they still have an important place in your life. Point 4. Don't wait for a special occasion to reach out.
You don't need a birthday,
Holiday, or important announcement as a reason to call someone you care about.
Ordinary conversations can be meaningful too.
Ask about their day. Talk about something you both remember. Share a small story. Listen to what has been happening in their life. These simple moments may seem insignificant at the time, but they can become part of the memories you value later. Point 5. Another lesson is to stop assuming that there will always be another opportunity when we're younger. It's easy to think, I'll call tomorrow or I'll visit when I have more time. But life doesn't always become less busy. There is always another responsibility waiting. Another appointment, another task, another reason to postpone something important. This doesn't mean you should live in fear or worry about losing people. It simply means that if someone matters to you, the time you have with them today is worth appreciating. Point 6. Sometimes you don't need to solve someone's problems. You simply need to listen. When someone you care about wants to talk, give them your attention. You don't always need the perfect advice. A genuine conversation can be valuable, simply because both people feel heard. Point 7. Distance doesn't have to mean disconnection. If someone you love lives far away, a phone call, message, or video conversation can still help you stay involved in each other's lives. It may not replace being together in person, but it can help maintain the relationship when meeting isn't practical. Point 8. Don't let pride create unnecessary distance. If a relationship is healthy and meaningful, sometimes being the first person to reach out is more valuable than waiting for the other person to make the first move. You don't have to prove who was right. Sometimes you can simply choose connection. Point 9. And remember, you don't need hundreds of friends to have a meaningful social life. A few people you trust and genuinely care about can be more valuable than a large number of shallow connections. As life changes, appreciate the people who consistently bring kindness, support, and companionship into your world. Point 10. Don't wait until someone needs help before you check on them. Ask how they're doing simply because you care. Point 11. Don't assume your loved ones already know how you feel. Sometimes saying, I appreciate you, or I was thinking about you, can mean more than you realize. Point 12. As you grow older, you may begin to understand that ordinary moments can become some of your most meaningful memories. A conversation over dinner, a short walk, a phone call that lasted only a few minutes. These moments may not seem important while they're happening, but they become part of your shared history. That's why you shouldn't always wait for something extraordinary to happen before spending time with the people you love. Life is made up of ordinary days, and relationships are often strengthened during those ordinary days. Point 13. Another important lesson is that being independent doesn't mean you have to be isolated. You can take care of yourself and still enjoy companionship. You can have your own routine and still make time for family and friends. Staying connected is not a sign that you are incapable of being alone. It is simply part of having meaningful relationships. If you notice that you have become increasingly isolated or lonely, don't feel that you have to handle everything by yourself. Consider reaching out to someone you trust, joining an activity you enjoy, or speaking with a healthcare professional. If loneliness is persistent or affecting your well-being. Point 14. One of the clearest lessons that can come with age is to appreciate people while they are still part of your life. You cannot control the future, and you don't need to spend your days worrying about what might happen. Instead, focus on the opportunities you have today. If someone matters to you, give them some of your time. Listen to their stories, share a meal. Take a walk, make the call. You don't have to make every moment perfect. You simply need to be present enough to appreciate it. Because later in life, many people realize that the things they once thought were so important were not always the things they remembered most. The conversations, laughter, shared experiences, and people who stood beside them often carried much greater meaning. Point 15. And perhaps the most important lesson is this: don't wait until you have a reason to appreciate someone. Call them because you care. Call them because you thought about them. Call them because you want to know how they're doing. It doesn't have to be a long conversation. It doesn't have to be emotional. You don't have to say anything profound. Sometimes all you need to say is, "How have you been?" That simple question can open the door to a conversation, a memory, or simply a reminder that two people still care about each other. So think about that one person again. Someone who matters to you, someone you haven't spoken to recently. If the relationship is healthy, maybe today is a good day to make that call. Not because you're afraid of tomorrow, but because you appreciate today. Point 16. As you get older, you may also learn that staying connected is not only about keeping other people in your life. It can also help you feel connected to your own memories, experiences, and sense of belonging. Talking with an old friend can bring back stories from a time in your life that you may have almost forgotten. Speaking with family can remind you of where you came from and how much your life has changed. These conversations don't have to be long or serious. Sometimes remembering something together, laughing about an old story, or simply asking what has been happening can be enough. And if you have been feeling disconnected for a while, don't assume that it is too late to make a change. Start small, reach out to one person. Join an activity you genuinely enjoy. Spend some time with people who make you feel respected and comfortable. Meaningful connection does not have to happen all at once. It can begin with one simple conversation. Point 17, finally. Remember that caring for relationships doesn't mean being available to everyone all the time. You still need healthy boundaries, personal space, and time to rest. The goal is not to fill every hour with social activities. The goal is to make sure the people who genuinely matter have a meaningful place in your life. Choose relationships built on respect, trust, and mutual care. Let go of unnecessary drama when you can. And don't be afraid to protect yourself from relationships that consistently cause harm. As you grow older, your time becomes something you may value more carefully. Use some of it for the people who bring meaning, kindness, and genuine companionship into your life. Because when you look back, you may realize that a good life was not only about what you achieved or what you owned, it was also about who you shared those years with, the conversations you had, and the moments you chose not to postpone.